Hey gang, Captain Jim Ross here. Want you guys and gals to tune in to this week's Catch Your Memory Outdoors. I had Captain Bill Coppage, and we're talking about fishing for yellowfin tuna on the other side of the Gulfstream out of Ponce Inlet near Daytona and New Smyrna. Check it out. Hopefully you guys and gals will enjoy.
Welcome. It's another edition of Catch Your Memory Outdoors right here on WWBC 1510 AM. We appreciate you guys tuning in every Saturday right here to see what's going on up and down the Space Coast with the fishing and the outdoors. Of course, we're going to try to talk a little bit of hunting. Had a pretty good duck week hunting here this week from some of the guys I talked to, so we'll probably get a call from Captain Jeff Kranick and some of the others, see what was going on out there in the marsh and out there in the salt as well. But we appreciate you tuning in every Saturday to listen to Catch Your Memory. We're on from 7 to 9 live, of course, on the Facebook feed. Good morning to those of you guys out there on Facebook. We appreciate you tuning in. And then 99.9, 94.7, 100.7 FM. And then, of course, the WWBC app. We're streaming live every Saturday morning right here, so you can go back and listen to that later as well on our archived podcast at catchyourmemoryoutdoors.com. I'm Captain Jim Ross, and we're going to do this thing we call Catch Your Memory for the next 2 hours. This segment of the show is brought to you by Blue Points Marina out at Port Canaveral. We appreciate those guys doing a fantastic job out there and being a sponsor of this show for a long time now, and we really, really appreciate what they've done for this show. Anyway, we have got a couple of things we need to talk about this morning, and the first thing is we've got some cold weather moving in. The second thing is you can give us a call here on our call-in line at 321-632-1000. That's 321-632-1000, and you can listen to us on the radio and also give us a call and ask some questions if you want. I've got Captain Bill Coppage in this morning from Jacked Up Fishing Charters out of Ponce Inlet. Good morning, sir.
How's it going, man?
I'm doing good. I appreciate you coming in this morning.
I appreciate you having me, man. It's a real good day to have it with this weather, right?
I'm telling you, 5 to 7 in hard out of the north.
Yeah.
And we've got and we've got a special guest that you brought along today.
Yeah. I brought my neighbor as a wingman. So you know what, man? He fished with me a lot. He knows the drill. So it's been a good time having him next to me. He fishes with me all the time. So Mark.
So Mark, you are not, we hadn't met before, so I was thinking that Bill brought his mate in because a lot of times captains will bring a mate, that kind of thing. But you don't even get the title. You just get to help clean the boat, but you get to fish, and that's important because mates don't get to fish most of the time.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It always helps having a second set of hands on the boat.
You have got that right.
Dude, I'd pay to be there.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, my son's my mate.
Just got a raise.
He's in bed right now. He's not getting up.
Well, my son decided that on the coldest weekend of the year, he was going to go north to Asheville, North Carolina.
Oof.
And he got off the plane yesterday, and he sends me this video, and he says, "What is this stuff?" And it's sleeting and snowing a little bit, and I was like, yeah. He's like, "This is ridiculous. I'm ready to come home already." Yeah. And I'm like, "Not before you send me a snow angel picture." And he says, "That is not happening."
Yeah, I get that. I'm not a fan of the cold myself. So.
But we've got some cold out there. It's been getting colder as the morning goes on. Left the dogs out around 2 a.m. this morning. They always seem to, 2 a.m. is like time.
Man, what's up with that?
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's time. We got to go. We got to go. And of course, when they got to go, they got to go. So I let them out, and I'm like, it's not too bad out, Yeah. And then I got out this morning and let them back out at about 5:30, and it's coming. Yeah, that cold's rolling in.
Yeah, it rolled through quick that front yesterday. I was out in some nearshore reefs out of Ponce yesterday, and we were in a 23-footer, and we just glided right on out. No issues at all. You know how you get to fishing, you start not looking around. You're like, man, it's getting pretty windy here.
Right around 1:30, 2 o'clock out of Canaveral, it started picking up, and I'm like, it's time to roll it on back in.
Exactly.
So did you guys get any of those big bluefish yesterday? I heard the big blues were run back up there. They were down at Canaveral last week.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard some big ones.
Yeah, I looked all over for them yesterday. I ran from the mouth of the port all the way up to the tip of the Cape, the False Cape, around, zigzag. I couldn't find them anywhere. So I was just like, the water temperature was a little higher, though. It was down in the 62, 63 degree range whenever we were getting them last week. And it's back up to 65 now.
Right.
And, a lot of times you think, oh, well, it's still cold. But apparently it's enough that it pushed them back up to you guys.
Well, I don't know. I was out yesterday, and we were hitting 5 Mile Reef. It's like a, out that way. And then we hit some around 12 miles, all that. And the bite was slow, and the water temperature was 60 degrees yesterday morning. So we were looking for them too, actually, because they're pretty fun, you know.
The fellow that I talked to when they were coming down was fishing off the Main Street Pier and was doing really well on them.
Right.
Apparently, he wasn't seeing them in schools, really, which when they got to Canaveral, they were schooling.
Yeah.
They were acting like they were spawning, actually. Yeah. They were daisy chained up, circling, just like any other fish that you would see spawning. And, of course, with bluefish, with any fish that gets in a school and they start getting aggressive, anything you throw in there. But we were throwing topwater because that's just the funnest thing to throw.
Oh, yeah.
And it was instant. I mean, the lure would barely get wet, and boom, there's a 10, 15-pound bluefish on it. But he said he was just catching them off the pier using cut baits.
Right.
So apparently they were down deeper. They were running, along the beach there. But he wasn't seeing schooling fish, but he was catching quite a few of them.
We checked around Sunglow. We looked around there. We didn't see none.
Nothing to the
north. Ran
north
the beach
then.
a little bit there, but we didn't see anything.
What about weak fish or anything like that? You guys?
Yeah, they're stacked. Right
Okay.
now. Yeah, that's unbelievable. Within a couple miles off the beach, there's some little ghost ships or something.
You got the ghost ship. You got the tire reef. You got the the Sunglow, the Main Street. All those rocks in there.
Stacked.
How about sheephead?
I've been this year was our best pre-spawn sheep's head bite I've had in a long time. I usually start every year. It's kind of like my ritual right at Thanksgiving Day.
Right.
Just to go try them, goof around. It's something new.
In hope that it's cool enough that they're actually wanting to play a little bit.
And we have actually gotten some really good sheep's head pre-spawn. Now, at our inlet at least, they're out spawning right now. It's a little slower at the jetty and inshore because, they're out doing their thing. But 1 month from now, they're going to come back and they're going to be hungry.
Yeah.
So.
When they're chasing pompano jigs, they're hungry.
Yeah.
Because that late January, early February time frame when they come back into the beach and get around those rocks again, it's like, oh yeah, it's game on.
Yeah. We caught a big one yesterday.
And what's funny is you'll hook one and you're pulling him up and there'll be 2 or 3 following them. They look like bluefish chasing one another or jacks chasing one another.
Time.
And you're like, that's a sheephead doing that,
Yeah.
So
it's been a pretty good year this year so far. And like I said, next month will be really good. It would be.
Yeah.
I usually commercial fish them then too. So.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, anytime that you can make an extra $1.
Yeah, I just switched jobs. I was in the medical field. I started off. I'll give you a little backstory. I grew up, was born and raised Ponce Inlet.
Mm-hmm.
Charter fished my whole younger 18 to 25.
Right.
On the boats on the critter fleet, which is
Critter
now
fleet.
gone.
Yeah.
I also did a bunch of sport fishing, charters every summer, and then I transitioned to commercial. So I would commercial fish from, in my mid-20s to about 28, 26, 28, something like that. But I would commercial fish from like September all the way till, March or April. And then I would charter fish from, the whole summer.
Right.
That's the season.
That's when the season.
But also the commercial season's in the winter because you do roe mullet, you do sheep's head, you do Spanish mackerel, anything like that. And so that's how I got into that. And then I went back to school and got a nuclear medicine degree, which Mark does nuclear medicine too. So,
Okay.
it's pretty wild that he's my neighbor. But did that, and I've been doing that since my mid, early 30s, I guess you would say. Now I'm about to turn 50. I'm stepped back, got a state job, back into charter fishing because it's always been my passion. I love it. I love it to death. So the camaraderie. I still talk to the people I commercial fished with 20 years ago. So now I got my commercial license, got my restricted species license again. I don't even know how much in depth I'm going to go with it, but and I'm charter fishing, so we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a good year.
It should be.
Yeah,
should be. And what kind of boat are you running?
I have 3 boats right now, actually, because there's not one boat that does it all.
No.
Unfortunately, I wish there was.
Yeah.
But right now I have my other side boat, which is a 37 Sea Hunter, and that's my long range boat I use offshore, for everything. The mileage really sucks on it.
Yeah. I was getting a mile and a half to the gallon or so.
One.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's not.
1
That's
mile
even
to the gallon.
worse. Oh.
But that thing, it just eats. It eats,
Yeah.
and no matter what, it's a good boat. And then I have a 21 shoal water bay boat, It's a Cat. I
Yep.
use that for my my inshore, near shore stuff, and then I have a gigging boat that I'm building right now for some nighttime gigging.
Gotcha. Little bow steerage.
No, it's
little
just going to be a
skiff.
john boat with a railing on it.
Okay.
It's an extra wide 18-foot john boat with a railing. I'm going to use it for chartering, so light it up. It'll look like the space shuttle going
Right,
off at night.
right.
So.
Do some shrimping charters in it as well, maybe.
Maybe, I don't know, man. I was thinking about that actually. I was talking to a buddy of mine that's he has Jetty Rocks YouTube channel. He's a pretty big YouTube channel, and I was like, hey man, I'm thinking about doing some shrimping charters. He's like, dude, you're really risking it because people could fall or in that kind of tight environment with shrimping. And I was like, maybe nighttime I could do, but not daytime. 'Cause we do a lot of daytime shrimping
Yeah,
up there.
cast netting and stuff. Yeah.
With the jellies and all that, I got low gunnels, somebody could really fall and hurt themselves, and I need to be weary of that, so.
Yeah.
But maybe dipping would be kind of cool, but you still need a bigger boat for that than a john boat, unfortunately, But we do. It's just now starting right now, the shrimp.
They're just the beginning of December. There was a pretty good run that came through Oak Hill, and then by Christmas time, it had died right out. So it should start picking back up. We got the full moon, so it should be doing happening any day now.
The tide was moving last night.
Was it?
Yeah.
It was dipping out. It's as low as I've seen it in a long time.
Yeah, it was going out pretty good.
Well, that's a lot of different things you got your fingers in. Real quick, before we go to break, what is nuclear medicine?
It's a medical field where we kind of inject a radioisotope, and we'll look at a certain organ of your heart or of your body. Like it looks at the workings, the physiology of your body. So you can either do like liver scans, bone scans, heart scans, and you're doing an imaging procedure that couples with it to show them, what organ you're looking at and if it's functioning correctly is what we're doing.
So it's medical imaging. You've got MRIs, you've got CAT scans, you've got X-rays, you've got ultrasound. Everyone's familiar with those. You've also got nuclear medicine. So it's another form of taking pictures of the body.
You're using a different
modality.
What sets nuclear medicine apart is your imaging organ function as opposed to the structure. So when you're doing your CAT scans, your MRIs, you see what your organs, your body structures look like based on their physical characteristics. Nuclear medicine is a organ function imaging.
Because you're tracing where that isotope is going.
Right.
Exactly. You have different isotopes get metabolized or processed or localized in different organs, and they emit radiation that the camera detects.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Kind of like putting aquatic tags in the redfish and then listening to where they go.
Yeah.
Around the lagoon system.
Similar,
I've done that. So that's pretty neat.
Yeah, it's a good field. I enjoy it. Now I work for the state, and I inspect all the facilities that actually do that. Anything that produces ionizing radiation, I inspect. So it's pretty cool. Like the Space Center has some things we do. The port, they have the cruise ships have their X-ray baggage things.
Right,
We check them out, and it's a good job. I like it a lot. So.
That's interesting that you're able to transition from one thing to the next next, and now it's allowing you to go back and fish again.
Yeah, which is really cool because, it's something, a passion of mine. I love the outdoors, period. Anything. I could do anything outdoors. And this job enables me to get more offshore, more out in the woods. I'm down, as long as I can make the bills, right?
As long as they're getting paid at the end of the day, right?
That's right.
Well, guys and gals, we'd love to hear from you. 321-632-1000 is our call-in line. Give us a shout here on Catch a Memory Outdoors. Captain Bill Coppage, his neighbor Mark, and myself, Captain Jim Ross, are going to be right back after these messages, so don't go away. Hey, guys and gals, welcome back. This segment of the show is brought to you by Sun State Pest Management. If you have bugs, and you do if you live in Florida, so just get rid of those bugs by calling Sun State Pest Management. Those guys and gals are professionals that come over and check out what your problem is, apply the right amount and type of product to get rid of your particular pest issue, and then you don't have to keep stuff laying around your house where your dogs or your cats or your kids can get into and potentially get poisoned. So don't store product around your house. Give the professionals at Sun State Pest Management a call. You can get them real easy. 800-781-7378. That's 1-800-781-7378. That's Sun State Pest Management. Give them a call today and lose all of those problems that you thought that you couldn't get rid of. We're going to go right back to talking about Ponce Inlet and what's going on with Ponce Inlet with Captain Bill Coppage and his neighbor Mark here this morning. I want to say good morning to you, those of you guys and gals out on Facebook. Real quick, though, got a bunch of people on this morning. Got William Stratton on. Dave Boulez is on with us. Craig Like and Carl Harmon. And good morning, sir. Hopefully you're in the duck blind. Jesse Dance, getting ready to have old birthday party bonfire. Going to go over and see that thing here next weekend. So want to wish him a happy birthday ahead of time. John Kipp, Captain John Kipp up at Ponce Inlet, Orson Tarver, Captain Mark Gibson, Jonathan Raby. Who else have we got here? Gregory Lund, Captain Greg. Good morning, sir. I know you're not on the water this morning. It's a little chilly to be offshore today. Greg Perotti, Josh Cox, and Daniel Hart, and quite a few more. Chris Kaminsky looking in from Vero Beach as well. Appreciate you guys and gals tuning in every Saturday. You know, Bill, we were talking about that 37-footer of yours. And these days, the last 10 years, the boats and the equipment are absolutely game-changing compared to when I, a shallow water, started off in a John boat kid, then worked his way up to working on a 42 Hatteras and fishing the other side at the 120 buoy. Those days, we barely even had radar. I mean, we had a closed array radar. We didn't even have an open array radar, okay? Closed array radar and a big set of binoculars. And we would just drive around in the middle of the ocean, 90 miles offshore, 100 miles offshore, looking for packs of birds. And we didn't have water temperature charts. We didn't have any of these things. Today, I mean, as an example, I look at some of the products that are available today. You can sit at your house the night before. You can pull up your chart plotter. You can overlay your temperature, your altimetry, your chlorophyll data. And some of them even tell you, hey, if you want to catch wahoo, go here. You want to catch dolphin, go there. You want to catch. They actually have pre-programmed areas that they'll tell you, hey, go check this area. But you can look at the temperature charts. You can look at where the breaks are, where the eddies are, those sorts of things. And you can have an idea of, hey, I need to go 78 miles on a southeast heading, and I should hit this body of water, and there should be something there. Rather than just driving around like Stevie Wonder, hoping to see something, you know, or bump into something, literally. So with this 37-footer, and I'm sure you've got an open array radar on it.
Yeah.
You break the inlet, the radar's running, man. I mean, you're scanning on the ride out. If you didn't have a predetermined program as to where you wanted to go, a plan to go somewhere, you just turn it on and let's see what we come across. Well, with that radar being able to scan out as far as you can, I mean, we can see birds at 6 miles now.
Right.
You know, that's got to make your job a whole lot easier.
Well, that's the one thing. It's funny you say that, actually, because I gave 2 seminars, one at Central Florida Offshore Anglers and one at the Florida Sport Fishing Association, which is down this way in Melbourne. Great group of guys, by the way. But that's my first thing that I like to tell people during a seminar is that's the biggest thing is information. Getting information is the most important thing to tuna fishing out there. Because, like you just said, I downloaded a Rip Charts map the morning of. And if it's not clear enough, then I try to go back and find one that is clear enough, and they have a bunch of
day before, but also, or even the day before that. You know,
you download it, and if you download it to your phone and keep that on, it'll stay on your phone. Keep that app open; it'll stay on your phone, and it gives you a track when you're running, which is really cool because then you can see, like you said, the eddies, the water temp changes, all the different, bathy, all that stuff.
Yeah, it's
a big deal, man. That is the most important thing when tuna fishing because. Otherwise, you're just, like you just said, you're just riding around a desert. The radar is the next biggest thing for tuna fishing. You have to have a radar. You have to have an open array. I have a bunch of people that try to go out there. And, when I first started, I just started tuna fishing about 4 years ago, really. I've been to there, and I went offshore fishing, went for tuna, never caught them when I was younger, because I was more like you. We were inshore. You start off as a John boat. You go offshore. And, when I was in my early teens and early 20s, or late teens, early 20s, we would go fishing on charters, but we would only go to the Gulfstream and back.
Right.
That was our normal
everyday trip. And that's an easy
trip.
thing to find. I mean, you just drive until you see the rip, and then you're like, okay.
Correct.
We're here.
So, going out there was a new thing for me up to 4 years ago. The first year was a learning experience, but after that, it's been like we've been hot. I mean, it's just like it's a no-brainer. It's pretty easy, like you just said, with all the new tools and that the fish don't stand a chance anymore.
They really don't.
So,
I mean, if they yawn, they're done.
Yeah, and it's a scary thing too in that aspect as well, because even just the inshore, I've noticed a difference over the last 20 years with the spot lock. You don't even got to anchor correctly anymore.
Yeah.
That's a game changer. It really is. I mean, not to mention the spots, all your spots you're going to. So technology has definitely impacted that, like we don't even get it, like up there in Ponce, you probably still get a little bit of a mahi season, but we don't get it here. The only way I do get it is when I go off the other side. I find them over there.
On the other side of the stream.
Yeah.
Well, surprisingly, this side of the stream the last couple of years has not been nearly as productive as the other side.
Right.
It really hasn't.
Yeah.
And I think it's my personal opinion of it is that we don't have as many dolphin as we once had. Okay. So if you think of cows in a field. Okay. If you've got 1,000 cows in a field, they're going to spread out and cover a lot of ground. If you've only got 300 cows in that field, they're not going to cover nearly as much ground. And so I think what's happening is our dolphin populations are shrinking to the point that they're not spread out all over the water column and from 70 feet to 700 feet. They are concentrating just in the thoroughfares and those. So there's enough room for them to stay concentrated, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Rather, if there's more fish, they have to spread out because they have to have food. They've got to search more water to find more food. And I think what's happening is with all of the heavy industrial ship longlining that's going on down in the Caribbean and down through the southern Atlantic. Even now, they're starting all the way off of the coasts of Brazil and areas down there. You've got 200-foot processing ships that are running 40-mile sets every night, and there's 20 ships out there all doing the same thing. 20 ships, 40 miles a night, 100-foot. Every 100 foot, there's a dropper, and they start picking off dolphin and tuna and sailfish and everything else. That's a heck of a gauntlet for the dolphin to have to get through to get up to us. And I think that's what we're seeing. We're seeing that diminished population is allowing the fish to stay in a more concentrated zone. They don't have to get out of that zone anymore to go find fish, find bait like they used to.
Yeah, I agree.
Find food like they used
100%.
to.
I think there's two things, honestly. I think we get a very big current rip from the Bahama area. It comes off the point near the
exactly because of their migration,
and it shoots on the other side. Where our normal mahi comes from down south, and they migrate up and down the coast. Over the years, like you said, even down in the Keys where we can keep, we would keep like 60 fish in a day, Right. And, back then we didn't realize it, but now, I'm not really like one of them guys about rules and stuff like that, but I think on certain things, like the flounder rule, 12-inch rule, I agree with that. It should be a 14-inch flounder.
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to do with a 12-inch flounder? Same thing with the mahi, 20-inch mahi. What are you going to do with a 20-inch mahi? It's 60 of them.
Right.
So, like, for real, like, I think we need to practice a little bit of conservation when it comes to that point. But I think that's why we don't get them on the inside as we used to, because they're getting hammered down south.
All of those fish that would be just off of the reef in Isla Mirada, in Miami, in Lauderdale, with there being fewer numbers, the fish that are running up through there, by the time they get to St. Lucie, Sebastian, Canaveral, now you're not talking about a whole lot of fish because there's been a lot of them caught.
Yeah.
So by the time they have to get all the way to Ponce, and then in St. Augustine and Jacksonville the same way, you don't see the numbers. But here's the interesting thing, because the Yellowfin Tuna do the same thing.
Right.
So the main migration route is on the eastern side of the Gulf Stream. And a lot of times they come up on the east side of the Bahamas even. They're not even on the west side of the Bahamas. They're on the east side. So as they come around and then they come off of Manila and then they come up and hit the stream, they ride the eastern edge of the stream almost past Ponce before they start to cross over, because St. Augustine Now all of a sudden, St. Augustine and Jacksonville, you can start to catch yellowfins in the stream or on the western side of the Gulf Stream because they've had a chance to kind of come on over,
Right.
merge, if you will.
That's
like coming off of an
so
entrance
funny
onto
you're
the
saying
95.
that.
You know,
It's so funny you're saying that because last year, I definitely recognized when mahi was going, it was just getting ready to hit. Jacksonville were catching them. North Carolina was catching them. We didn't even get a season, and they were
Yep.
crushing them. I was
Yep.
like, "What's going on
Yep.
here?" So, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about there.
yeah,
That's so true.
that stream is definitely a dividing line, if you will.
Yeah.
And with the fewer numbers of fish, I think that they're just not they're not having to search other areas. They're able to stay within that confined area and still have enough food. So
Yeah.
that's my thought process on it. So, being a flats guide, if you will.
Yeah, yeah.
Done your research.
That's it's pretty. I can see it.
Well, guys and gals, we're going to take our next break. We would love to hear from you. 321-632-1000. That's our call-in line. Give us a shout here. I want to say a couple more shout-outs to those of you guys online. Billy Grabowski is on there. Tim Lessing, good morning, sir. Jim Hartley's on there. There's another name I can't even pronounce there, so we won't even try. David Giovannini. Appreciate Butch McCoy, all of you guys watching on Facebook. If you guys and gals that are on Facebook, if you will do us a favor and hit that share button and share the Facebook feed from Catch Your Memory Outdoors onto your personal feed. We're trying some experiments here to see what happens in the first couple of weeks of the year, and we're trying to see what kind of growth we can achieve through that. So if you guys and gals can help us with that, we'd really appreciate it. Hit that share button, put it on your personal page as well. We would appreciate that. We're going to be right back with more Catch Your Memory after these messages, so don't go away. Hey, guys and gals, welcome back. We appreciate you guys and gals tuning in every Saturday right here to Catch Your Memory Outdoors. This segment of the show is brought to you by Lamb Deck. Man, I'm telling you right now, I'm on my boat yesterday, okay? And we're catching triple tail, and we're catching bluefish, and we're catching, stuff that likes to poop and throw blood and just drip slime everywhere. And I'm thinking to myself, man, I don't know why I haven't put Lamb Deck on my boats before. Because this stuff cleans up so fast. And it's so comfortable to stand on. I don't know if I'll ever own another boat that doesn't have an EVA non-skid decking on it ever again. I really don't. I'm questioning myself at this point what took me so long to find it. And I'm telling you guys and gals right now, if you've got an older boat, you got a brand new boat, it doesn't matter. You want to make that boat a better version of itself, give the guys a call up at Lamb Deck. It's real easy. Jaden, come up there, do a laser scan of your interior and put the Lamb Deck wherever you want the Lamb Deck. I had them build up my console pad extra thick. Makes me feel a little taller. Not a bad thing.
I have it too, actually.
I did that.
But, man, the cushioning that it gives. So I'm riding up and down the beach yesterday. Like you were saying, Bill, the wind came up in the afternoon. Well, now I'm riding down the beach, running straight back into a southwest wind, right? And I'm thinking to myself, man, this is nice. I'm just sitting here just riding on a cushion.
Yep.
I love this Lamb Deck. So give those guys up at Lamb Deck a call. They're up there in Titusville. Give them a shout. It's real easy to get a hold of them. 321-505-4888. That's 321-505-4888. And remember, if you have any kind of wiring issues, you need extra lights, you want a stereo system put in, they do that too. So give the guys at Lamb Deck a call in Titusville. You won't be disappointed, I guarantee it. We're going to the phone lines. Captain Mike Mann's on the line this morning. Good morning, buddy.
Hey, good morning, guys. How are you today?
I know you are sitting at home. You are not on that water today.
That is correct. Well, I'm actually in the truck driving around with Rusty, my big red Australian Shepherd, so we don't wake the family. But driving around the neighborhood. But, yeah, it's a little chilly. Yesterday ended up being a beautiful day, and
It
actually
did.
the day before yesterday, despite the fact there was no sun in the morning, was gorgeous. We've had a couple really nice days of weather this week. A couple, a couple Mother Nature could have done better.
You're right about that. Well, I don't know about you, Mike. Thursday morning it drizzled on me. Then I said, well, I guess I'm just relegated to the computer today. So I'm answering emails and doing that kind of thing. And then about 10 o'clock, the sun pops out. And the guys I had booked for that day, I actually called them. I'm like, hey, guys, it looks like we might have about a 4-hour window here. You want to go give it a try? And they're like, we're already doing something else. So I was like, dang it. But you're right, Mike. The middle of the day on Thursday was beautiful, and then yesterday was surprisingly good until the wind kicked up in the afternoon.
Yeah, that wind kicked up really big time. And for me now, Thursday morning, never got any. It never rained up here. It was actually beautiful all morning. I mean, almost no wind. It was just slick, calm. The downside to that was it was slick, calm with overcast skies, and you can see fish, but they can feel you. So that made it a little challenge. You found lots of skulls and got a few really nice eats, saw some nice tailings fish. But the schools were very jumpy, very jumpy.
Mike, with that, we've had so much wind lately that whenever you get that calm morning, the fish, they're normally aware that you're around anyway, but they seem to be extra sensitive whenever you've had excessive amounts of wind for an extended period, and then you get that one calm day. It seems like it's even harder to sneak up on them, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, most definitely. It's I mean, you've got to be a ninja coming at them.
Yep.
And the odd thing is that's when they're schooled up there like that. Now, what I have found is the single fish are very approachable. When you find those little singles, doubles, triples, they're very approachable. You just don't find as many of those because they tend to school's in session.
Right.
So that's one of the things I've been finding. The fish I caught Thursday were none of them were out of schools. They were all single fish. They were all, just kind of cruising along. And I was out scouting for my charter yesterday, or for my charter on Friday, and so I was more about what do I see, and I'm just carrying a rod in case I see something that's too good not to cast at.
Right. Now, Mike, were they crawling or were they just in deeper water?
They were crawling.
Okay.
A lot of what I found was crawling. Now, the schools I found tended to be on deeper edges where they were shallow water adjacent.
Okay. But the singles were up sniffing and crawling around.
That's correct. Yeah, and I even got in a couple. The biggest one I caught Thursday was too shallow for me to get the Hell's Bay to, but where I could get close enough to make a long cast to him.
That's pretty wild. So he was back out of the water crawling.
Yeah, they were both, but they were back out of the water, and I mean it was nice because I could see through the whole flat. It was killing me. The water was about an inch too low for me to get in, and I was by myself. I'm like, I'm not gonna get out and push it over this, and with the temperature still pretty cold, and I was surprised the water temperature is not as cold as I thought it would be.
That's gonna change.
Yeah, I was expecting, after we had that big, long, cold front on Wednesday where it was basically 50s all day and 40s at night, I was kind of expecting to have some much cooler stuff, and it ended up being 58 was the lowest I found. The average was 60, 61, which is, not a bad water temperature.
No, that's actually pretty nice. Now, are you getting them to chase the artificials at all, or are you just live baiting them?
Nope. Getting them to chase. Wednesday or Tuesday, I went out with a buddy of mine doing a little scouting, and that was before the wind kicked up, and we got a really nice one to eat, a Z-Man. The singles will eat artificial. The schools, they're just jumpy. I haven't pulled anything out of a school hardly at all this week except for a couple black drum.
Gotcha.
And the black drum came on shrimp.
Well, at least you were able to get out and, anytime. Look at what we're talking about, Mike. Honestly, look at what we're talking about. We're talking about what it was 8 and 9 years ago. We're not talking about what it was 3 and 4 years ago. We're talking about better water quality. We're talking about the ability to actually pole up on fish and sight cast to them because the water's clean enough that you can actually see them. You're not trying to fish them in a yoo-hoo with a piece of cut bait. It's gotten back to what we enjoy about the inshore fishery. It's gotten back to that sight fishing scenario again.
That's correct. And I will say one thing I have noticed is where I was fishing, the few places I did have schools in the wintertime, say 3 years ago, I'm not really seeing the schooling fish there now. But where I was finding the typical school that would be on this point every year or be in this cove every year, 10 years ago, those schools are back.
Interesting.
So, I'm going back to some of my old journals, and I'm finding schools and places that I used to fish, 8, 9, 10 years ago that I kind of gave up on in the wintertime because the schools quit showing up there.
Well, it just goes to show that, all of the quality work that's been going into trying to clean up the lagoon system and what's coming into the lagoon system is having a slow effect. Even though it's not as fast as we'd like it to be, there's improvement every single year. And that's all we can ask for is it gets better and better as time goes on.
Yeah, that's correct. You can't. Mother Nature doesn't change overnight. She adapts over years and decades. So, you can't expect it to. Look how long it took to destroy what it was.
Yeah.
It 2 decades, and so the results I'm seeing now already are very positive. They make me happy. It makes me enjoy fishing out here again, and I'm having a lot of fun.
And it's not just the mosquito; it's the Indian South. The Indian North is a little. We're still dealing with Turdsville up there, dumping stuff in like they shouldn't be. But I was talking. I had Will Lytle and his son William on the boat yesterday, both residents of Merritt Island, right there, Banana River frontage, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
South of Horty Point, between Horty Point and Pineda Causeway. They live on that South Courtney area. And he was telling me when he first moved in 2009, he was afraid to wade out there because the grass was so thick. It was, you'd be in knee-deep water and you couldn't see past your kneecap because the grass was so thick. And this past year, he said that he was back out there wading. It's been a moonscape for forever. Back out there wading, and now he's seeing grass again, and the fish are relating to the grass, and he's seeing redfish tailing again and black drum tailing again, and he says, "Man, it's getting back to like it was when I first moved in here back in the 2009 2010 time frame before all the water got really really bad." And we were just kind of reminiscing about being able to sight cast a tailing fish in the grass again in the Banana River. And obviously we're in the middle of the wintertime, so it's not, the grass isn't all that thick right now. But if we continue on this path, we should have a real, hopefully we'll have a really good summer. Is what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, that's definitely what I'm up for. And, one of the things I'm noticing is, and I haven't been down to like Tiger area and south in the last couple of weeks, just haven't needed to, and it's been so windy. But what I have noticed is the areas that had grass up on the northern end, you're not really seeing the thick green grass right now. But as you're coming through there, you're seeing the little tufts of it sticking up, only a half inch to an inch out of the water, like it's kind of gone dormant. It released, and now it's waiting for the warmer, sunny days that it's going to start sprouting up again.
Yep, definitely. So,
well.
We've got 3 days of wind. It's Saturday, Sunday, Monday. We've got wind. It's going to be a little tough. Yeah. Tuesday, it looks like it starts to ease a little. And then by the end of the week, next week, if what I saw last night on the weather forecast comes to fruition, we're almost talking 80, maybe even 85-degree water temperatures by the end of next week. The fish ought to get absolutely happy, and hopefully they get stupid. And happy, stupid fish are fun to catch. So, that's what I'm looking forward to towards the end of the week.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. Yeah, I think, today, tomorrow, and Monday, it's like highs in the 60s, lows in the 40s, then 50s. Then we've got, up here, we've got mid-70s to even 80 on Friday, all the way up till Sunday. And then, hey, the following week, it drops back down. It gets cold again. So, yeah.
Well, I would tell everybody out there, take advantage of the weather while you can. You may need to take a personal day or a sick day or something like that so that you can get out while the weather's nice.
I'm thinking February's gonna be pretty epic.
I'm looking forward to it myself, brother. Well, buddy, we're up.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say we're up against our next break, and if somebody wants to get a hold of you, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, you can give me a call at area code 386-295-5991. You can go right to my website, fatfishguide.com. inglecoolers.com. You can follow me on Instagram, CAPT Mike Man, and on Facebook, Fat Fish Guide Service. I've got days available in February. Book them up before it fills in.
Sounds like a plan, brother. Give Mike a call and get out there and do some sight casting on those redfish. That's watching them crawl that's so much fun. That's so enjoyable to watch that eat, because it reminds me, you've got a fish whose back in some cases is halfway out of the water, and you slide a little bait or a shrimp up in front of him, and he sees that thing. It reminds me of when I was a kid. It reminds me of Dusty Rhodes coming off the top ring rope, just boom, just getting it, coming down with the elbow on it, They just pounce on it. And that is such a cool eat, such a cool bite to watch. Hey, Mike, thanks so much for the report this morning, and good luck on your fishing charters this coming week.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, catch a memory.
We're going to. Take care, buddy.
Thanks. Bye.
Hey, gang, Bill Coppage, his buddy Mark, and myself, Jim Ross, are going to be right back with a whole lot more Catch Your Memory Outdoors, so don't go away. We're going to be right back after these messages. Hey, guys and gals, welcome back. This segment of the show is brought to you by Engel Coolers. If you're looking for a fantastic tumbler, cooler, dry box, refrigerator that you can plug in, 12-volt refrigerator that you can plug in, a refrigerator and freezer, go to inglecoolers.com. They've got a bunch of great stuff there, and I'm telling you, man, you're going to be impressed. I stopped in Strike Zone the other day, just kind of throw a plug out there for Strike Zone again, even though it's not really their segment of the show. But they've got a brand new display of Engel dry boxes and coolers in stock. So if you don't know what you need, stop down at Strike Zone. They've probably got it. And that way you can sniff it, touch it, lick it, whatever you need to do to make sure that it's the right cooler for you. But stop down at Strike Zone and check it out, because Engel Coolers are the real deal. You can go to inglecoolers.com as well if you can't make it into one of your local retailers. But we appreciate them being the sponsor of this segment of the show. You know what we're going to do right now, guys? Let's get the catch conditions out of the way, because there's really not much in the way of catch conditions for offshore, but we're going to talk about it anyway. Small craft advisory, obviously. North winds today at 20 to 25 knots, sustaining that through tonight and probably well into tomorrow. Then it'll shift a little bit to the northeast, it looks like, maybe tomorrow evening or into Monday. Seas inside of 20 miles are supposed to be 4 to 6 feet with a dominant period of about 8 seconds. And right now the 4-mile buoy at Canaveral is 67 degrees. It is not. That is a lie. It is not 67 degrees.
60.
It was 65.3 yesterday, and the high I saw was 65.3 in the morning. It was 65.6 when I got off in the afternoon. It is not 67. Anyway, at least that's what my Garmin was saying. 3-foot seas at 6 seconds. I believe that. 20-mile buoy. They didn't have a temp this morning, but it doesn't really matter because it's 5 foot at 7 seconds, and you're not going anyway. Western edge of the Gulfstream, 45 nautical miles due east to Ponce, 29 due east to Port, and 25 due east to Sebastian. Current surf temps right now at Ponce, 59 degrees, Cocoa Beach, 64, and Sebastian, 67. And the tides look like this. Got a low this morning at 9:50 a.m. For those of you guys that are fishing Port Canaveral this morning on that low, sheep's head and black drum bite on the sand fleas right around that low tide period. High at 3:33. It's 48 degrees outside right now. Yeah. 3:35 p.m. is your high this afternoon, and 9:33 p.m. is your low. And then Sebastian, 9:36 a.m. is your low this morning. The high is at 3:29 p.m., and the low is scheduled for 10 p.m. tonight. But remember, the current change inside the inlet is about 3 hours after the actual beach tide. So keep that in mind whenever you are going down there. And then I forgot to write this down. Let me pull it up real quick here. The best times to hunt and fish, the Sol Lunar tables today. We are looking at, it looks like it's pretty good right now. Let me get my glasses out here so I can see what I'm doing, because my iPhone 5 lettering is so small. I need to get my glasses. Okay, so the iPhone 5 still kicking, baby.
Whoa,
still kicking.
Whoa.
Hey, and the Sol Lunar tables are brought to you by All About Archery. Stop down to see Danny and Tino and the gang down there, Cheryl down there. They do a fantastic job of getting you tuned up with your bows and your crossbows and stuff. Minor activity this morning is going to be, it's going to be in the afternoon. It's going to be from 12:56 p.m. to 1:56 p.m. The major's happening right now, 7:38 to 9:38 a.m. Oh, no, 7:09 to 9:09 a.m. And then tonight at 7:38 to 9:38 p.m. But we are just coming into the peak of the high for this morning. at right around 8 a.m. So hopefully you guys and gals are bundled up and taking advantage of that. If you're out in the duck blind, hopefully the ducks are flying for you. I'm not sure is there anywhere that the deer season is still open?
Here in Zone C.
Zone
this
C
is
still
the last
open?
weekend.
Okay,
Yeah,
last
21st,
weekend.
I think tomorrow is the last.
Gotcha. So you're saying there's a chance?
Yeah, Booner's gonna walk out. Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, guys and gals, it's gonna be one of those chilly kind of days. It's just is what it is. I may, and I don't know. I'm thinking about it now.
Think about trying it.
I was thinking about trying it because I have had I've had one day in the woods.
Oh, man.
One. It's not right. It's just not right. I need to get out a little more than that. But
Killed 0 deer.
0. Exactly. You guessed it. Yeah, exactly 0. So hopefully I can turn that around. I don't know. We'll see. But it's one of those things where I just had too many things going on and didn't allocate the time I needed to allocate to it. But it is what it is. Let's talk a little bit. When you're heading offshore, you were starting to talk about it, Bill. Your temperature chart. To me, the temperature is the number one thing. What is your number as far as that type of information? When you're looking at your chart, for you, what is your second favorite? Is it chlorophyll? Is it
altimetry?
altimetry?
Yeah, altimetry. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's the name of the game, man.
Yeah.
When you can find them rings starting to gather up and get somewhere on your chart, I like to. And if it overlaps with an eddy, ooh, that's the holy
That's the
grail,
holy
right
grail
there.
right
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
That's the rip with the foam and the tree floating in it.
Everything, yeah. That's it. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, when you pull up these charts, now there's 2 different ones you can usually use. One's called Rip Charts. That's what I use. The Rip Charts is a really good app. I use it. It's getting more expensive. If you know how to read these maps. And
Right.
So what I would do when I first started tuna fishing is I would buy a ROFS report.
Yep.
Because the ROFS report is game changer. They actually give you coordinates. You got to make sure you get the right one if you're doing the other side. But what I would do is I had rip charts already because I thought I could read it, but I couldn't.
Right.
So when I got the ROFS report, I would compare it to the data that I would get because it's the same information. They're just interpreting it for
Yep.
you.
And that's the one thing that ROFS has done for so many years. They've done a fantastic job of pinpointing, highlighting areas that should see increased activity.
Yeah. And now lately we've been buying them anyway.
Yeah.
Because even though you still can read them, it's still nice to see what they have to say because they've been doing it so long, like you said. It's a very, very valuable asset to have when you're going offshore. You're spending thousands of dollars to go on this trip, literally, for just fuel, $1,500-$1,600.
I was going to say, your average fuel bill in a 37-foot center console, how many gallons are you burning?
Over 400.
Over 400 gallons.
Some days.
At $5 a gallon marina price.
Mm-hmm.
So do the math on that real quick, guys and gals. In my book, that comes to way more than what I need to be spending on fuel to just run around and catch nothing. I need to put something in something needs to be sucking on some ice if I'm going to burn $2,000 worth of fuel. If you know
100%. 100%. Well, that's a funny thing you say that because that's how we started finding the mahi. We would be running out, and of course we're searching for tuna, right?
Right.
But then you get into mahi, and it's like, man, do you leave fish to find fish? Because you're in fish.
You're in them.
You're in them, but you're in mahi. You're here to tuna fish, but that's a hard call sometimes you got to make because sometimes that mahi bite is hot.
Yeah.
I mean, and to walk away from these weed lines that are 200 yards wide is a hard one to do. So, but so that the main thing is, like I said, the ROFS report is the biggest deal, and then learning how to interpret it with the rip charts, and that's how we get to the altimetry. We get to your clarity, chlorophyll, like you said.
You can even see weed lines on some of them. It's amazing the information that is available to us now that wasn't 15, 20
I'm not
years
a fan of the Garmin ones, the overlay on the Garmin ones per se, because it's more of like a block bar graph, if you will. Like there's pink over here for tuna. I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of that at all. When people, I fished with people that are like, hey, the tuna are over here. that's pink over here. And I'm like, no, we're catching tuna right here.
Yeah.
There's no need to go over to the pink.
Yeah, we don't need to go there.
Like I've seen that before in fishing with people, and it's you need to look at what you're really looking. You need to learn what you're looking at. If you don't know how to read it, buy the chart. It shows you how to read it. Compare your data. Research. Because that's how you have become a good fisherman. Doing your research, right?
Putting in the time.
So it's a funny thing you said that too, because you were given a report. Are they going to replace the buoy out there?
The
weather buoy, the 120 buoy.
I don't know. I haven't heard.
It's been gone a year.
Yeah, I haven't.
Yeah,
heard if they're
I'd be
going
kind
to
of
or
curious because we actually went out there to do an overnight trip, probably a year ago, maybe a little later, maybe under a year ago. And we get out there and there's a 70-foot sport fisher idling around there. I'm like, oh, well, the buoy must be over there. We go over there and he's like, hey man, where's the buoy? I'm like, what are you talking about? You're not sitting on the buoy? He's like, no, that was the first day.
was gone,
we were going to do an overnight trip. So guess what we did? We idled around all night. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Pointed into the current so that you don't end up off of Georgia.
Right. Yeah. We sat around and some of us slept, some of us were miserable. It was terrible. Terrible. But so I'm just curious because that chain from that buoy was a big game changer. I'm sure from back when everybody used to go there.
Well, that was our end game, was to get to the buoy. When we left port, it was okay. We're heading to the buoy. Whatever we come across on the way is kind of the bonus, or the find, if you will, because we didn't have the different things. We did start to get Roth's charts back in the late '90s, but other than that, we had closed array radar. I mean, once we got open array radar on that boat, I was like, oh my goodness, are you kidding? When I can come out of the mouth of the port and I can ping the Bahamas on my 90-mile setting, I was like, whoa. And then when you figure out how to dial it in so that you can start to pick birds up. Now, back then, they weren't nearly as powerful. They weren't nearly as sophisticated. We were reading birds at 1.5 miles,
right?
Maybe 2 miles. Eddie Dwyer had one he had like a 6-foot array. He was picking them up at 3-ish miles on the ticket boat back in the first ticket that was out there. So it helped, but it wasn't what it is now.
Right.
What it is now is ridiculous. So, hey, guys and gals, we're going to take our break. When we come back, we got a whole nother hour of Catch a Memory. We're going to be talking about all kinds of fun stuff with Captain Bill Coppage and myself, Captain Jim Ross, and our buddy Mark. So don't go away. We're going to be right back after these messages. All righty. Hopefully you got that all. Hopefully you're awake now after all of that going on. A little Motley Crue this morning. Hopefully you got your second cup of coffee. And we got a whole nother hour of Catch a Memory coming at you. So guess what? We are about to do that right now. I'm Captain Jim Ross, and for those of you that are just tuning in, we appreciate you joining us here at Catch a Memory Outdoors. I want to say good morning to all of those of you out there watching on Facebook, as well as all of the 99.9, the 94.7, and the 100.7 listeners on our FM signal. And then, of course, download the WWBC app. You can listen to us anywhere in the world on the WWBC app, or streaming at catchamemory.outdoors.com. You can listen to us anywhere there. Plus, if you missed the show, you want to go back and hear it again, you can always go back to either the Facebook feed, the Catch a Memory Outdoors Facebook page, or you can go back to catchamemory.outdoors.com, click on that archive tab, and we've got years worth of podcasts stored there for you. So if you want to hear something that you missed, you can always go back. If you want to hear something again, you can always go back. We appreciate you guys and gals going back and checking out those archive podcasts there. This segment of the show is brought to you by Blue Points Marina out at Port Canaveral, and we want to say thank you to those guys and gals out there. They're probably not putting a whole lot of boats in and out today, but whenever there's a nice day, if you guys want to see a well-oiled machine, go out and watch those guys work, because they are pumping the boats out of that dry stack, getting them wet as fast as they can, and shoving you guys off so that you can go catch some fish. So give them a shout if you're looking for a place to keep your boat. And if you want to give us a call, 321-632-1000. That's our call-in line. Give us a shout here at Catch a Memory. We would love to hear from you. If you've been catching anything, you've been hunting anything, or if you have a question for us, give us a shout right here, live on the air. We appreciate that. Bill Coppage is in with me for this second hour again, and our buddy Mark's in with us as well. And Mark, it's interesting. You were talking about some of the things that you like to do, some of the types of fishing that you like to do. And was it yesterday you were out, or the day before you were out?
Yesterday evening.
So what were you doing yesterday evening? Because it started getting a little nasty down in my place. So.
Oh, and actually, we were able to hide from the wind. Me and the girlfriend went out, did a little top water, Zara spook.
Nice.
We each had our small rods and a Zara spook tied up and tucked away back in the mangroves and just enjoyed the sunset. And too, it was stacked with 6-inch Jack Crevalle and 12-inch bluefish.
Well,
and we had a heck of a time with them.
Well, I tell you what, man. Anytime that you can get a topwater bite, I don't care what the fish is.
Mm-hmm.
Topwater is it.
Yeah.
That is the best bite.
I agree.
The second,
Anywhere.
The second best.
Offshore, inshore.
Yeah.
If it's top water, it's on.
The second best is what we were talking about with Captain Mike Mann earlier in the show. Watching those fish crawl on the banks with their backs out of the water, and then they come up on a minnow or a shrimp or a little crab, and they just pounce on it. I think that's the second best bite.
I think personally, my favorite is when they're crawling like that with their back out of the water, and you cast to them, and they run, and then they make a U-turn. That is my favorite, ultimate favorite. When they turn around and come back and nail you, and they in that wake they put, that's amazing.
That little
right?
swirl.
That's
that
what you live
circle.
for in
Looks
fishing,
like a
right?
little donut.
Yeah.
See
I
the
love
bite.
it.
Yeah.
Love it.
That is cool. That is cool. So, Bill, we were talking about running to the other side, and we were talking about the temperature is it, and then the altimetry. And for those of you that don't know what altimetry is, that is it's the upwellings and downwellings that occur throughout the ocean. So the ocean, you think of it, it's flat. Well, it's not, because you've got upwellings that's bringing cold water, cold nutrient water, and typically planktons that feed bait fish that then feed bigger fish with them. So you get these rises, and they're only inches. It's if you get a foot rise on an altimetry chart, you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
I'm calling in sick today. I got to go. I got to be there.
Yep.
You get that kind of a rise. But then where the ocean is sinking or the water is sinking, those are typically not good places to fish. And so that's why when you said altimetry, I was right on cue with that, because I was like, when I was running offshore and we were fishing the circuit, the kingfish circuit, altimetry was our number 2 go-to.
Yeah.
And then we started looking at things like rips, weed lines, chlorophyll, that sort of thing. And water clarity to me almost came in last for kingfishing.
Mm-hmm. They like dirty water.
They really do.
Yeah.
Kingfish they'll feed in dirty water.
They like that green.
Some of the
water.
biggest kingfish I've ever caught, I've caught on dead low tide right outside the surf break. I mean, it's as dirty as the water's going to be for the day.
Right.
And yet some of the biggest fish I've ever caught, those 50-plus pound fish, they're all in that, well, not all, but they're in that dirtier water like that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, another thing is, too, is like I can tell you right now, I've been fishing these tuna for 4 years, pretty solid. Like, that's my number one thing. That's my favorite fishing
Favorite
ever.
thing to do.
I've been to the buoy like twice, 3 times. I never make it there. I always find the fish beforehand.
Before then, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, always. I mean, I have people that, we went to the buoy. I'm like, why? Why'd you go to the buoy?
We found them at 72 miles, or we found them at 86 miles, or
Every time. Another thing is like a lot of times we'll fish in the morning. We usually leave around 4, maybe 3:30. Depends on how hyped we are. Like this, we start fishing them in February too. But when we leave, we get out there, we'll catch fish from daybreak until about 10. And then you have that afternoon lull.
You got that
right?
lull, yeah.
That is the biggest argument in my boat. What do you do in that lull? Do you go to the buoy? Because, that's a 40-mile round trip.
Right.
Or do you stay in that line? Because right now, you're in a line. It's a north-south line. When you find the tuna, you need to stay in that north-south line. Don't go east-west and look for more fish, because they're on that line. You know how many times I've ran and burned 100 gallons of fuel looking around when I shouldn't have? I run it.
Stayed right there.
We talk about it all the time. When we have our friends meeting at hunting camps and stuff, it's like, man, Bill ran out there. We've burned 450 gallons of fuel, this and that. And it's true. It's true.
For nothing.
But you get the itch, like, I need to run east. Well, you don't always got to run east. Once you find fish, it's the same thing. Why leave fish to find fish,
You just have to wait for them to turn back on again.
You do. Or find a different pod, but head north-south. Because they're in that line. It's a rip. It's a temperature change. Another thing is like you just said earlier, you get that Dwyer Canyon and all that. There's an updwelling there. It comes from the Bahamas. It swoops over there and it comes up, and that's why it's called the Dwyer Canyon.
Yep.
From Ed Dwyer. He's a famous tuna fisherman. Like they wouldn't have named it Dwyer Canyon, if there's not something there. So that's a big deal. You need to search your spots. Like I always head towards the buoy, of course, but on the way, I have certain spots I like to try because I know that there's a dwelling there, an updwelling that I like to hit beforehand, and sometimes it saves me hundreds of gallons of fuel. It's a big deal. And time.
And running and burning time and missing the bite. And
I have saved the day multiple times. I went towards the buoy, headed 120 miles, 130 miles, because the buoy from me is 144 miles.
Out of Ponce.
Yeah. So, if I go to the buoy, it's a big deal.
That's a hike.
It's a big deal. I've struck out at the buoy. I've saved the day coming back on the way in and found fish 90 miles, 100 miles, multiple times. Some days last hour of the day, like sometimes we're not satisfied. We call it satisfied. When you get out there and you've caught some fish, you're just not satisfied.
You only got a handful of fish, and you're like, man, we just need
not
we can
enough
just get
time.
one more pack and get 3 more knockdowns, kind of thing,
Yeah. So sometimes we'll stay for the evening bite.
Yeah.
Because not a lot of people do that, and that's game changer. I have saved the day in the last hour of the day, last hour of daylight in the day. We've been running and gunning, last hour of the day on birds, and it's solid. I got videos on the YouTube channel, just crazy. Last hour of the day, we've just slayed them. Slayed them, and it was slow all day. Then you save the day, and that's what's cool about it. It's like tuna fishing's different than what I've ever done in my life. It's a run and gun style. There's no sitting around blind trolling. If you're blind trolling, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
You're doing it wrong. You're just, if you're blind trolling, another thing is like, if you're trying to keep up with the birds, if you're pulling baits, and you see the birds ahead of you, and you're just pulling baits behind them.
You're never going to catch them.
You're just chasing the fish. You're behind them. So another thing is going for meat. I have a lot of my crew, half my crew are very divided. Everybody has opinions. We're all captains. You know what I mean? So, I have a very good crew, and a lot of us like meat or ballyhoo. A lot of us like fake bait. We call it fake bait, which is like sterling lures. Nomads, stuff like that, because you can pull them and not wash out. You can get up because they're moving. These fish and these birds are moving, man. You got to reel up and get to them. That's the main thing.
Their average swim speed is probably about 10 to 12 mile an hour, and then when they get on a bite and a feed and they're chasing, now it can be 18.
Yeah,
19.
it's quick.
You cannot catch them. If you got lines in the water, you cannot keep up with them. You got to pull lines, get up and around them, and then reset.
Exactly, 100%. A lot of times too is that if your crew is good enough, when you're running up to them, you're on the fish, because it's not uncommon to get a solid hookup with every rod on your boat. So you got to be careful with that too. Like, what kind of spread are you running? Are you running a 5-rod spread? Are you running a 6-rod spread? Are you trying to run a 7-rod spread like you're fishing for mahi? It's not going to happen.
It's not happening. Yeah.
No, we run a 5-rod spread.
We ran 5,
and that's a handful. We get a 5-way hookup multiple times. So
that's all solid information for you guys and gals out there to listen to. Hey, you know what? We're going to take a break real quick. When we come back, we got a special caller on the line, so don't go away. We're going to be right back with more Catch Your Memory after this message. Hey guys and gals, welcome back. We appreciate you tuning in every Saturday right here to Catch Your Memory Outdoors. We really appreciate Petrucci Insurance for being the sponsor of this segment of the show. Now, you guys have heard me say it before. Nobody likes to pay for insurance. It's a pain in the you-know-what to have to pay and make that payment. You don't like it. I don't like it. Here's the thing you need to do. Call Petrucci, have them do a rate quote for you, and make sure that you're properly covered. You're not overinsured. You're not underinsured. And make sure you're getting the best rate possible for the coverage that you're getting. That's what Petrucci does. They're an independent insurance agent. They don't care who you go with. They just want to make sure that you're getting the best deal you can possibly get. That's what they do for you. So call Petrucci, 321-632-1200. That's 632-1200. Talk to Don, Virginia, whoever you need to talk to over there. Make sure that you're not paying too much for your insurance, because there's nothing worse than sending money out the door to somebody who doesn't need it more than you do. And that's the way I look at it. I need my money more than you need my money. if you're an insurance company.
100%.
I want to keep it in my pocket. So that's why I called Petrucci, and they immediately saved me money and got me a better deal. Hopefully they can do the same for you. But give them a call. You're going to be impressed. We're going to go to the phone lines real quick. We got Kelly calling in from Bull Bay Rods. Good morning, Kelly.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
Exactly. How are you doing this morning?
You know, I'm sitting here in Richmond, Virginia at a trade show event, and it's 22 degrees. So there you go. It's pretty.
Ooh. Well, you know, that's actually not that cold considering it's about 48 here. You know,
man, I hate
when you look at the distance, that's not that bad.
Yeah, it's cold.
Yeah,
It's still pretty cold, though.
Yeah, it's not flip-flop weather.
jump in your bones a little bit. You feel it, you know.
You're not ordering margaritas and sitting on the beach in your baggies right now. I can tell you that much.
No, you can appreciate Florida a lot more when this happens. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
Kelly,
tough.
I want to say thank you to you guys at Bull Bay Rods. We did a promotion in conjunction with the Indian River Clam Restoration Project, and
Yeah.
we put some airtime out there up for bid, and we appreciate you taking advantage of that. The donation that you made for the advertising for the show is going to go directly into a bunch of clams, and we're talking about more than one, that's for sure. So we appreciate you doing that, and want to just tell the people about what great product the Bull Bay rods are, because you guys have got an entire line from freshwater to saltwater inshore, saltwater offshore. You've got a lot of different rods for people to choose from.
We do. We try. You know, the demand is high, so you guys are asking for an offshore rod. You're asking for a bass rod. You're asking for a travel rod. So we listen. It takes us a little while to get it to market because there's a lot of vigorous testing going on. One thing about Bull Bay, we're really big on warranty. Well, if we're big on warranty, we better not be putting out rods that are going to put us in the warranty business. So we try to do that right and make sure we make quality product. At the same time, put a warranty that says if you break it in your car door, the warranty is going to cover that. We don't even ask you how you break it if you break it. But we don't have a lot of breaks, so it works out for everybody. The customer's the best part about it, the customer's happy.
Yeah, most
so
definitely.
it's a win-win.
And there's something to be said. I mean, I say it all the time when I'm talking to people when they're saying, "Hey, how do I choose a rod and reel?" And I say, "How are you going to use it?" Because a higher end rod is made with components and materials that are going to make it more sensitive, lighter in weight, more responsive, but you do sacrifice a little bit of durability. So you can't go using this thing for a push pole.
Right.
You can't let it slam around in the back of the truck with the cooler sliding around and the cast net in the bucket sliding around back there. You can't do that kind of stuff with it. If that's your fishing game, you need to just go straight over there and get you an ugly stick and just be done with it. But if you want a quality rod where you're going to feel every bite, you can feel the shrimp twitching on the end of the rod, you can feel that croaker getting nervous, then a Bull Bay rod is the type of rod that you're going to need. Something that's much, much higher performance than the average rod.
I did the script out with you, Captain Jim, and you're spot on. You're 100%. The man knows what he's talking about, obviously, right?
I have designed a rod or two in my day, that's for sure.
Well, there it is. The experience comes with the knowledge. So
Yep.
that's great. You can pass it on to your listeners because it really makes a difference. Performance, castability, quality components, your guides, every little thing comes together. It makes it work.
Let's talk some specifics. You've got a line of bass rods, and we primarily are saltwater oriented on this show, but we have one of the premier bass lakes in the entire world right here in our backyard. We've got
Yes, you do.
We've got the new Headwaters Lake that just opened up that was specifically designed and built as a trophy bass lake. We've got the Stick Marsh. We've got Farm 13. We've got Garcia. We've got Cypress. We've got Hatchnaha. We've got Kissimmee. We've got Toho. On and on and on. The Butler Chain, the Harris Chain, the St. Johns River itself. We have more bass water around here than you can shake a stick at. And you guys have an incredible line of bass rods for people to take advantage of these waterways that we have.
You know what? You're spot on, and here we are with bass rods. I started out. I grew up in Polk County myself, Lakeland, Florida, and man, I fished my arms off in those pits and the lakes, and I mean, just a great fishery. But that's in my blood. My grandparents would get up and go crappie fishing, we go speck fishing, and then we'd go bass fishing. So that's where my roots are. But you wouldn't know it by the bull bait being a dominant force in the inshore rod fishery. But the bass rods is where our heart is. And so we've designed, I think we have about 18 SKUs now on the bass rods. They range from 129 to 179, maybe 219. I don't think they really get over $200 too much. But we've got a couple flipping sticks that, man, they are just absolutely phenomenal rods. And they're durable. That's the best part. Their sensitivity's there. The guides are good guides. We use saltwater grade guides on our bass rods. So you could take that rod and run over it and grab you a giant snook if you want and not worry about your components rusting apart, because we just don't use junk.
Exactly.
Rods.
Exactly.
You know, and you know that if you've built rods, so you know there's a difference between a $2 guide and a $20 guide. They're $20 for a reason.
Exactly. Exactly. And then you've got inshore series rods. You've got near coastal series rods as well. And that's the heart of what we see here along the coast on the Space Coast is guys chasing those redfish, chasing those big black drum on the flats, chasing those snook at the inlet, chasing those cobia up and down the beach or those tarpon. And you guys specifically, in fact, there's not a lot of companies out there that specifically have tarpon rods dedicated to tarpon fishing. And one of the things that I found really, really exciting to me about the Bull Bay lineup was that you have rods dedicated for tarpon fishing.
The problem is that you guys, the captains, the anglers, have told us we want a tarpon rod, so we listen. We have ears, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why there's a specific rod for tarpon, because you've asked for it.
We made you go back to the drawing board and do it all over again. Huh?
Yeah, it costs us a lot, but at the end of the day, we listen. And our rods are built by anglers. We don't call up some factory and say, "Give me 1,000 of these and 1,000 of those." No, sir. We actually have that rod fished. We tweak it. We move the guides to help, go with the bend of the rod. It's just a little bit of everything. On our spinning rods, our secondary or stripper guide, Captain Jim, is about 2 inches further apart than $800 G Loomis rod. It's 2 inches further apart, the first and secondary guide, because we figured out we moved that we had less line resistance. So we're getting 15, 20 feet further on our cast by moving the guide.
It's really important. We used to take photos, and do high speed footage on some of the stuff that I was helping with. And when you're watching a guide, and I say this all the time to people, when you're picking out a rod, the reel that you have on the rod, if the line is coming off of that spinning reel and it looks like a sine wave, if the guide is accepting that sine wave as the sine wave is decreasing in size, the guide is doing its job properly. If the guide is spaced so that the rod, or so that the sine wave is increasing in size, going out to its maximum width and then coming back down and then going back, if it's going outwards as it's touching that guide or coming into that guide, you're doing it wrong. That guide must be moved because it's not in the right spot. You're creating additional friction, additional abrasion on the line. You're decreasing your casting speed. You're decreasing your casting distance. You're kind of fighting an uphill battle. You want the line coming together on that sine wave as it's going through the guide, not spreading apart. And there's so many rods out there that you put a rod and a reel combo together and you go cast it and you can hear it. It's not even a visible thing. You can hear it in your ears immediately when you make that cast. And you're like, that's not the right reel for that rod. You need to find a different reel. And so, like you say, when you're building rods, it's super important to pay attention to those small details, because that's the difference between putting minimum effort and getting a maximum distance cast versus putting maximum effort and getting a minimum distance cast because you have too much resistance going on.
There it is. I love it. You explained it better than I ever could. So good job. But that's exactly correct. So we take the time, we listen, we build the rods around the anglers, and we try to get it right. If we don't, we start over. We'll start over, right? But it won't come to you or to production until it's been tweaked.
Yep.
And that, I think, our success story behind all that is our repeat customer business. The average consumer owns more than 3 of our rods, and that's because they fall in love with the performance, the casting, the sensitivity, just the rounded it's just all around the client, around the consumer, around the angler, and they come back and they buy too. It's just incredible to see that. So God is good. We try to make a good rod. We listen to you guys, and at the end of the day, we want to satisfy you and put you on more fish.
That's all the customer can ever ask for from the performance they get out of a product that they're buying from somebody is that the rod is doing the job, the reel's doing the job, whatever the product is doing the job. And Bull Bay, it goes the extra mile to make sure that that they're getting the job done for you guys and gals out there. So we appreciate you coming on board. We're looking forward to having a couple of the rods on the show so we can showcase them. Hopefully, we'll if you guys are in the area, we'll have you on the show at some point in time. Would love to do that, but I tell you what, it's going to be a fun ride this next year, and hopefully we can get the word out about the quality product that you guys are putting together.
Well, hey, we just introduced the travel rods 2 days ago. They were an ICAST rod, and we need to get them in your hand too, because I tell you what, they're not just your wimpy old travel rod you throw in and you hope that it doesn't break and you hope you don't get on a monster. No, sir. We make the travel rod out of the exact same length we're making out of the Banshee rod, which is our ICAST winner rod. It won 2 years. It won in the Fly Rod Series and in the inshore. So we made a Banshee travel rod. I'm here in Virginia, and it's an absolute – I don't think we brought enough rods.
They're selling like hotcakes, huh?
Well, the name is out, right? And people want to see them. They want to see the Bull Bay because you don't have a lot of stores that have them in Virginia yet, but here we are. So it's pretty cool to see that as an owner, as a dad. My son runs the company day to day. We have 22 employees housed in Lakeland, Florida. We distribute from Lakeland, Florida, all over the southeast United States. And we haven't went into the big Bass Pro Shops because we don't want them to try to knock our rod off like they do other stuff. So we just stay with the mom and pops mostly throughout the state of Florida in and out. And we support the small businesses because we're one of those, right? So,
yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, and there's plenty of quality independent dealers out there that you can get your product out into the hands of the consumer through them. It's like Strike Zone is one of our local stores that has them in stock, and I know you guys sell a lot of them through that store.
Yeah, Strike Zone's an absolute great store. If you haven't been in there, go check them out. Ton of inventory. The guys know what they're talking about. They can help you out. If you're new to fishing, walk in there and ask somebody to give you a little help, give you a little, some little cheats, if you will. Listen to this radio station, of course, with Captain Jim Ross, and you're going to learn. So you guys put your ear to the ground and learn as much as you can. You catch more fish.
That's what I'm talking about. Well, Kelly, we are up against our next break. Enjoy the rest of your show up there. Stay warm, and we look forward to having you on the show live in person sometime whenever you're in town, and we can get together.
Yeah, to stay win, and I'll bring those rods that you can showcase, and we'll get at it.
That sounds like a plan. All right, we appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, sir. Hey, gang, we're going to take our next break. When we come back, we got Bill Coppage, Matt, Mark, and myself, Jim Ross. So don't go away. We're going to be right back. Hey, guys and gals, welcome back. We appreciate you tuning in every Saturday right here to Catch Your Memory Outdoors. And for those of you that listen on the podcast later on, hopefully you're enjoying them as well. This segment, we're going to do the Starbright Cleaning Solutions part of the show. And I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. And I want to show you this because it doesn't seem like it's a big deal. Dude, this is a big deal. This reggae mitt thing that they came up with, this thing is a game changer. Because this is what I use to get in behind all of my hatch lids, all those channels that work around in the gunnel of my skeeter boat, in the floor of my skeeter boat, everywhere where I can't get a deck brush to. This thing, you just put your hand in it, dip it in your rinse bucket and your soap bucket, and just start going to town, and it cleans all of those places that you can't normally get to with a deck brush. And it's very easy. It keeps you from getting little fiberglass splinters or chips or different things, cuts that on your hands. The reggae mitt from Starbright. Get you one of these things. It's a game changer. We're going to go to the phone lines. We've got Captain Jeff Kranick on the line this morning. Good morning, Jeff.
Good morning, guys. Who's in the
we got Bill Coppage, Captain Bill Coppage, and his buddy Mark in here with us this morning.
Gotcha.
What's going on in the marsh today?
Well, me and Captain Kyle and Jake are sitting out here in the marsh. little nipply out here this morning.
I imagine so. Did you guys Kyle was saying yesterday that they were spraying, or day before, they were spraying herbicide again in the St. Johns River, which I thought we were over this. I thought we were past it, but apparently we're still trying to destroy the ecosystem as hard as we can go. So I still don't get it as the the state wants tourism, but the state's trying to kill its own tourism business because it's killing the marsh.
It's not the water management district, because when Kyle sent those pics out, hold on.
Get that bird.
Snipe. Flock of snipe. Sorry. I called the water management district and asked them what was up.
Right.
And said that's a state contract. That's not them spraying. That's through FWC.
Yeah, so Florida Wildlife Conservation Commission, the entity within the state that's supposed to be keeping the state pristine and protecting the wildlife and the ecosystem, and they're out there spraying thousands of gallons of herbicide. Again, I don't get it. Who do we have to talk to? How many times do we have to bang our head on the wall? I just don't get it.
And you know what the problem with this is? I live on that lake, so I can tell you how much vegetation. Where they're spraying is none of the vegetation that needs to be killed. It's not, the hyacinths. They were just spraying the reeds and everything along the shoreline. There's no hyacinth out there.
Yeah, it's not like there's something clogging the flow. They're just spraying it so that they can get their money.
That's it. Dumping chemicals.
I brought that up at the last RAC meeting about getting sprayed. Getting sprayed by the gallon, and I was pulled aside and said that those spray boats, anything north of 192, because there was so much complaints about that they put the spray tips on them that show how many gallons they spray, and then they have to report that back to FWC. So I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but there was enough complaints about it that FWC took action on it.
Yeah, but it's like trying to grow grass in your yard, and the grass is just starting to get healthy, and all of a sudden you're like, nah, I'm just gonna spray herbicide all over this and just kill it all. It's not like it's not overgrown with weeds, and it's not overgrown. You don't need to bring a bush hog in there. It's not to the point where it's totally overgrown. So why are you spraying? I still don't. It just baffles me that we're putting chemicals in the waterway that we really don't need to.
I hate to say it, but our 5 or 6 big lakes in our area, they're dead. And I know I've said it before.
Yeah.
10 years ago when things crashed out there, it was $14 million to dredge all that stuff and take it away. And at the last count, it's like $140 million, and nobody's got that kind of money now.
No.
And nothing is going to change. Those lakes need to be dredged. The turbidity's too bad. The subaquatic vegetation isn't growing. And it's because they nuked all that hydrilla rather than just what they were doing back then was keeping lanes open for the bass fishermen and the wreck guys.
Yeah.
And
let it grow. Let it be what it is. Let it be a lake.
Yeah, you got one water management district nuking it, and you got the other water management using it in the STAs to filter out the nutrients.
Yeah.
Makes absolutely no sense.
No, if you take away the ability for it to strain the water because you've nuked all the vegetation in it, you're just kidding yourself. I don't know. Anyway, that's the government for you. There's a surprise. Hey, let's go back to duck hunting. What's going on? You guys shoot anything this morning?
We shot a few. We got to go find them.
I'm not going back in there.
Kyle had a gator growl at him. Started going into the...
Kyle, you're not afraid of those little lizards, are you? Come on now.
When that thing growls at me from 10 feet away and I can't see him, yeah, I'm out.
You're out? Yeah. No, I don't blame you there. What's been flying this morning?
It's been really slow this morning. I think with this, if they don't have to get up in this cooler weather right now, they don't. We got buzzed by a few teal, some ringers, mottled ducks, but nothing like it has been out here.
Gotcha.
We can't hear whether they're shooting in Goodwin or not just because of the wind the way it is. But we were in there Tuesday, I think. It was me, Blair, and we did the filming with Shaw.
Oh, Shaw Grigsby and Blair Wiggins and you and Tyler in the group.
Yep. Yeah, we took an extra camera boat in there. Got some great footage. They got footage of we lost 3 ducks to 1 alligator.
Gators got to eat.
Yeah, they got to eat too.
Well, hopefully they'll start flying for you here this morning.
Oh, hold on. Here he comes. Nope, he saw me. He flared.
He flared on you.
Okay, Jimmy, we'll go ahead and let you go. We know you got a break coming up again.
All right, buddy. Well, hey, I want to hear a duck call before we go.
Okay. Let's hear a duck call before we go.
Quack, quack.
Awesome, Kyle. That was perfect. You guys enjoy the rest of the morning and try to stay warm out there. Try not to be too cold. Hopefully you get a couple more flying over your head and you can finish out strong today.
Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, y'all have fun. That's a character. You get in the duck boat with those guys. You almost can't shoot a duck because you're laughing so hard a lot of the time.
That's what it's all about.
You're just scaring them away.
That's what it's all about.
They hear you halfway across the marsh. Well, we're going to take our next break. When we come back, we got a whole lot more catch memories, so don't go away. They've been serving Brevard County anglers for over 25 years. Sunrise has all of the gear that you hardcore anglers need for a productive day on the water, and they've got frozen baits like ballyhoo, sardines, squid, and more. Plus, Sunrise Marina has a great selection of live baits, shrimp, pinfish, croakers, mud minnows, fiddler crabs, and a whole lot more. So if you're looking for tackle, rods and reels, boating accessories, fresh-made sandwiches, or your favorite beverages, Sunrise Marina has got everything for you, and you can ice it all down with some bagged or bulk ice at their convenient, trailer boat friendly drive-through. Sunrise Marina also stocks some really cool nautical gifts, as well as the performance clothing and casual clothing that anglers like you and me like to wear. Make sure you stop by Sunrise Marina before heading out before your next fishing adventure. They're easy to find right across the street from Grills Restaurant at 505 Glen Cheek Drive in Port Canaveral. StarTron enzyme fuel treatment makes all engines run stronger, smoother, and helps them get better fuel economy. The enzymes in StarTron improve the quality of all fuels so engines start easier, even if they haven't been run for several months. Don't just stabilize your fuel, tune it with StarTron. StarTron enzyme fuel treatment can also be used in 2- and 4-stroke engines, trucks, lawnmowers, generators, motorcycles, 4-wheelers, basically anything that runs on gas. You can also get StarTron diesel fuel treatment for your truck, boat, or tractor, or construction equipment. If you want to fuel more power, tune your fuel. Hey, guys and gals. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Last segment of Catch Your Memory right here this morning. Man, we're having a big time. Got Bill Coppage in the show and his buddy Mark, and we're having a fun time just talking about, what we like to talk about, the outdoors.
Yeah.
The outdoors, fishing and hunting. We were talking, Bill, you found the fish, you got in front of the fish, and we started to talk about what are you feeding to the fish? What do you, like when you're offshore tuna fishing or even dolphin fishing? I mean, some guys like dragon ballyhoo, skirted ballyhoo.
Right.
Some guys like nakeds. Me personally, when I was doing that kind of fishing, you would not find me out there without a cedar plug.
Yeah.
It's old school. It doesn't look like anything and the best one was the wood one. I mean, you didn't even have to paint it up to look like anything, just wood with lead on each end and a hook hanging out of it. The wood one would go down first. It was the first thing eaten every single time. Or if it wasn't the first, it wasn't the last thing in the spread. Let's put it that way. And it was a $5 lure, not a $25 lure.
Yep.
So I always had the cedar plug in the spread. But, times change, things change. I mean, do guys still use cedar plugs? I mean, I haven't.
It's funny you
been
say that.
15 years since I've been out there.
You asked that. We used to hate cedar plugs.
How
Hate
come?
offshore? Because they're always tangling in the 5-rod spread. They're always tangling.
Okay.
But this last year, we started buying these special aluminum cedar plugs, if you will.
Okay.
Made of aluminum, and they were hot. They were hot, buddy. They were hot. And so now we're kind of 50-50. You know, that's our shotgun. We put it out there like a country mile.
That's what we would do. We put it on the long rod off, and because we were in a sport fish, we were running it off of the fly bridge, and then we'd run 2 flat lines, 2 rigger lines, and the shotgun off the top. Yeah.
About all you can handle.
Now I'm running, they're called Sterling wide trackers, so I don't even have to put my outriggers out now. So I'm running a new lure, and they actually, I bring them to all my seminars and stuff, but they have a diverter on them that diverts it, and you put it in your forwardmost rod holder, like right next to where your outrigger would be.
Okay.
And it has a diverter that spreads it outside your wake.
So it's kind of like to get your spread wider.
So you got 2 of them, 1 on each side,
Okay.
and then you have 2 flat lines and a shotgun. That's what I'm running.
Yeah.
And it's a quick retrieve, like so you can get up and move.
Now, how big are you said it's a Sterling
wide tracker, they're
Wide
called. And they make
tracker.
different bars. They make 18 inches wide, 13 inches wide, and they look like birds, like the bird dredge.
So it's like a planer board up north. The guys use a planer board for
very
trolling.
similar. Very similar to that.
Yeah, but in a high-speed application.
Correct. You're
Okay.
you're pulling at 8, 9.
Now, so that's not the lure. That is just the
No,
diverter.
it has a trailer on it.
And then it's got the trailer
It is
behind
the
it.
lure. It's the whole thing. One big.
So it's like a squid teaser.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's exactly.
Kind
what
of
it is.
kind of a scenario.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it's got a diverter in the way. And this guy, really, his name's Steve, puts them together. He's got a lot of experience up there, and he's from Jersey. They contacted me. They want to get in the Port Canaveral market,
Right.
and they have other couple fishermen that have been using them, and I've seen them, and man, they are game changers. I think they bring like a teaser. I think they bring up fish.
More fish. Yeah.
They bring up the fish, and then they also catch the fish, which is unbelievable. So it makes it look like there's a school of fish behind
It's a
your bait.
2 for 1.
Yeah, it's game changer. But I like to pull, like you said, sea witches. And my thing with the sea
Now,
witches,
what weight?
that's what I was just getting ready to say. About a 2 ounce.
Okay.
2 ounce is good with a ballyhoo in it. It doesn't have to be a horse. Doesn't have to be a medium.
It just has
needs-
to have smell.
Exactly. We use a regular post with the springs because it's quick. When you're in the bite, quickness and getting baits in the water is the most important thing. Because when I was growing up and when I first started, some people are like, you got to step down to 60 pound, 60 pound leader. They're smart, this and that. And I'm calling BS on that because I'm using these wide trackers with 300-pound mono,
Right.
and they're catching fish just as good as anything. We've lost so many fish stepping down that now we don't even step down. Now I'm rigging inline swivels,
Okay.
reel through swivels.
Okay.
So I don't got to hand line it in because every time you put a caveat in the middle of your catch, like hand line in 30 feet in,
It's one more
it's
opportunity.
one more opportunity for that fish to shake
Yeah.
his head that one last time.
Yep.
You can just reel it in, keep that steady pressure, reel that through. So now I'm using these little swivels. They're like 110-pound swivels tied to the braid. 'Cause I use braid.
Like
And
little Crocs or little Spros or
Yeah,
something.
exactly. It's exactly what I'm using. And then to the 80-pound fluoro, and I use about 25 feet of that to the lure.
Yeah.
And then there's that swivel is a key thing because we've tried all kinds of different things. Time bimini twist, with this and that. You have to have all that in your swivels might as well put it 25 feet away from the lure,
Right.
But yeah, it's a game changer doing that for sure. But another thing is the biggest one I can highly recommend is when you're using sea witches, they have to have Mylar.
Okay.
Mylar is the biggest game changer as far as catching. Sometimes I find a billy bait, it's called. It's the
Yeah.
cheapest bait you can buy at West Marine.
Yeah.
But they are big, poofy Mylar baits.
Yep. They originated down in the Keys. down
Buddy,
on Marathon.
they crush the tuna.
Yep.
The tuna love them. Like a big red one with the Mylar shiny. They just love that gleam, that shininess in the bright sunny days. That's where it's at right there. But
Now, are you running? So back when we were doing it, we were in experimental mode. We had everything from, mold crafts to JNSs to black barts. To,
Yeah.
I mean, Islanders. We started pulling lures at that point. The Yozuri Bonitas,
Yep.
the braid little speedsters,
Marauders.
the Marauders,
Yeah.
all of those different kinds of things, and we, but there was always the cedar plug. There was always the cedar plug.
You know, I can give
The
her
old school.
Personally, I can give or take the cedar plug. If it's up to me, I would just put a bird back there in front of like a.
20 years ago, that was just what we were doing.
Yeah.
We were experimenting. I mean, we were trying whatever we could try. We were trying teasers at times. We were doing different things. We didn't really have it dialed in. There's 20 years of knowledge now that's come to it, and so like you say, and now there's you got these, you got these lures that are specifically designed and have been and time tested now for decades in some cases, where these are tried and true lures that are doing the job.
Well, another thing goes with the cedar plugs and all that stuff is your crew. If you don't have an experienced crew, you can't run that cedar plug. You can't run it because, not everybody knows how to fish this kind of stuff. When you're putting your spread out, which one goes out first? Which one goes out second? Your longest line obviously goes out first.
Always.
Well, when you get in the heat of the battle and you're getting into a lot of fish and people are putting in and out, it happens. People drop that shotgun back in the middle of the spread. You're making a turn. Boom. Guess what? You got this big knot. You got to stop.
Yeah.
And that cedar plug, it's not the reason it's so good is because it darts around. It darts around through the, it'll dart right into the other line.
Yeah, it will. It will.
I've had so many. We used to get so mad about that just because it's a big controversy on the boat. We have a lot of controversy on the boat. That's what makes it fun.
Well, see, that's what was really good about the crew we had. Steve Seaman is, I think, to this day, the only captain ever to catch 5 species of billfish in one trip.
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay, now he did that before I started
Yeah.
working on that boat with them. But we had to have, because we were doing basically a 12 p.m. until we wouldn't get back until 5 the next day, we had to have a 2-captain crew.
Right.
So we ran 2 captains and a mate because of the speed of the boat.
That's getting after it.
Yeah. but well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
Mitch, our mate, absolutely, just fantastic mate. Knew exactly where the baits needed to be, how they needed to be put out. It was we had it dialed. And so when you came across a pack of birds, rods were going down.
Big time. Yeah.
Rod,
And that's what the name of the game is just finding the birds.
Yeah.
getting
And we
to
would
them.
get to the point where, like with the yellowfins, so you would get the skippies and you'd get the blackfins. You're pulling, and that rod, and we were running 50s and 80s at the time.
Yep.
Some of the guys are running a little smaller stuff now because there's
I run 70s.
higher tech stuff now. But we would come across the pack of birds, the rod would go off and zzz, and then the next one, and you'd have 3 or 4 hooked up, and then if that one stopped after 15, 20 seconds, that was a skipjack or a blackfin.
Mm-hmm.
We'd just go straight to lockup, just straight to lock the drag down, and that thing would come up to the top and just start skipping along the
Like
top.
a wahoo, bringing in like a wahoo, yeah.
Just coming along. And we were hoping that he fell off, that
Yeah.
the hook ripped out of him, because if he fell off, then we would pull back down and keep the rod engaged in the fishing,
Yeah.
and hopefully the yellowfin would be right there to pick it up.
Well, another
And
thing is, too, is it's a good thing you're pointing out. When you do get that first hit, don't stop.
Never.
Don't stop. That's
No.
one key element for tuna fish. Keep going. That's why I'm using 70s now. I'll get down to where I'm almost to the backer on that 70. I'm like, whoa,
Yeah.
on that first hit, because I'm trying to get the other ones to hit. I want as many, because you're not guaranteed hookups all day. If you got to capitalize on the bite when it's happening.
If you get 2 hookups and you land 1 fish, that's 1 fish in the box.
50% though.
If you get 5, right?
Yeah.
If you get 5 lines that go down and you land 3 of them, well, hey,
That's game changer, right?
yeah. You got 2 more than what you had.
Yep.
So that was the one thing. I mean, the boat virtually, until every rod possible was bent over, the boat never came off a plane.
Correct.
Or off the troll speed.
Yep.
Ever. It just
My biggest challenge right now is getting them in faster. Getting them in faster. Like being more aware, like start turning towards them a little bit, make them come in quicker, because
cut their angles.
Yeah, that
Just like you're chasing a marlin down.
Yeah.
And here's one
Cut
for
the
you.
angle.
When you are fighting a fish, have somebody keep an eye on where those birds are.
Yeah, that's
it's so
huge.
easy to get caught up and reeling in fish, and then you settle down. 20 minutes later, you boated a few, and then
where's
crap, where's the
Where'd they
birds?
go? Yeah.
And then they could be 2-3 miles away by then. You're
Yeah,
going the other
as,
direction.
As fast as they move, you're right about that.
Yeah.
Keeping an eye on which direction they headed was big,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely big. Well, golly, lots of great information for guys and gals that want to try and get out there and do some of this kind of fishing on their own. But That's the other part of this.
Yeah.
This is what you do.
Yeah.
You charter this type of
Yeah, we just started chartering
action.
actually this year. I just started. I've been turning down charters for 2 years now. I had my captain's license. I got a 100-ton master captain's license. I've got a lot of experience, like I said, but I didn't want to charter for a while. But now I love tuna fishing. I have the time, and if I can get out there more, catch fish with people more, I'm down for it. I actually love tuna fishing. So if you do get a chance, go to jackedupfishing.com. Check out the website. It shows what I'm catching. I like to put pictures on there what we're catching. You can book a trip there, and you can also check out my YouTube channel. It's Jacked Up Fishing on YouTube. I have 10,000 subscribers, or close to it right now, and we post what we catch every week. We
Pretty much every time you go.
Every Saturday we put out a video. So and it's good, man. It's fun. Leave a comment if you like the content, and
right.
Check it out, man. It's really cool.
Right. Very cool. So how does somebody get a hold of you? They can call you on the phone, go to the website?
Yeah, you can go to the website. It's jackedupfishing.com.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I have all my trips there. I'm adding more trips as we go, as I get more comfortable with what I'm doing.
Do you have an availability calendar?
I do.
Sort of thing
I
as
do.
well?
I have everything's
perfect.
on the website. It's availability calendar. I only run the charters from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, just because of my work schedule, as far as what I'm doing during the week. But yet, them are the 3 days that I like to try to go. When you're doing another side trip, you don't got to worry about clients or people, being out there crowding the spots. Not a lot of people 100 miles out.
Yeah.
Second of all is, you're coming to my house. I have my own fillet table. We're not doing it at the ramp. A bunch of people crowding us around. We got a more personalized trip, and that's what I'm trying to go for, is more of a personalized trip, not just your everyday run-of-the-mill, go out there and catch some fish. Even though that's what I like to do, I want to give the customer experience. So.
Well, I tell you what, that's exactly what customers are looking for.
Yeah.
They want a personalized experience. Hey, guys and gals, Captain Bill Coppage, appreciate you coming in this morning. His buddy Mark and myself, Captain Jim Ross. Until next week, do exactly what we're going to do. Get out there and catch yourself.